Picture this. You wake up tomorrow morning, stretch a little, check your phone, and suddenly you can see invisible numbers floating over everyone's heads. Not names, not emojis, but their exact bank balance. The person making your breakfast, the coworker who always complains about money, that guy in the neighborhood who keeps polishing his expensive car. All of them walking around with a bright number floating like a scoreboard. Now here's the real question. What would you discover? Would you be shocked by how little people actually have saved? Or would you be even more shocked that you might be doing worse than you ever expected? Well, prepare yourself, because the normal financial life of the average American is so surprising that once you hear these numbers, you might look at your own bank account in a completely different way. Some of these stats will make you feel relieved that you are not alone, but others will hit so hard they might just change your entire approach to money. I spend a lot of time reading financial studies, economic surveys, and real-world money reports just to understand what is really happening with people's finances. If you want the truth about how you compare to the rest of America, instead of guessing and hoping things magically fix themselves, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and of course, give this video a thumbs up if it helps you understand your financial reality better. Alright, let's get into the part that blows people's minds first. The average American household is carrying over $15,000 in total debt. Let me say that again so it sinks in. $15,000. And no, this is not counting mortgages. This is all the other stuff. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, personal loans, and every other payment that keeps people stressed every single month. Think of it like a heavy anchor tied to the ankles of millions of people, pulling them down slowly every year. But here is where things get even stranger. While Americans are drowning in debt, the average income has gone up. Recent data shows the average household income is just over $110,000 a year, which is about an 8% jump from the previous year. So you would think people earning six figures would be comfortable, right? But instead, many of them still feel like they are barely surviving. They are making more than ever, yet somehow the stress is bigger than ever. The answer becomes clear when you look at their spending. Americans are spending around $6,200 every month. Let that number sit with you. That is more than $75,000 per year. Imagine earning $100,000, paying taxes on it, and then watching $75,000 disappear into expenses. How much does that leave you for saving, investing, or preparing for the future? Not much. And that is exactly why so many people earning high incomes still feel like their money vanishes immediately. Now let's break down where all that money disappears, because this part is honestly wild. The biggest expense is housing. The average American spends about $2,100 every month just to live somewhere. That is more than $25,000 a year. It might seem normal if you live in a big city, but here is the issue. Experts say housing should not be more than 30% of your income. So to afford $25,000 a year in housing, you would need to make at least $83,000 annually. Millions simply do not. And then comes transportation, which takes another huge bite. Americans spend around $913 a month, almost $11,000 a year. This covers car payments, gas, insurance, and repairs. But here is the shocking part. The average new car payment is now over $700 a month. Even used cars cost more than $500 monthly. Think about that. People are working every month just to pay for a car that drops in value the second it leaves the driveway. Here is a quick reality check. If someone pays $700 a month for a car, that is $8,400 per year. Over a typical 6-year loan, they end up paying more than $50,000 just in car payments. And that does not even include gas or insurance. That amount could easily build a huge investment portfolio or become a down payment on a house in many areas. But instead, people choose a car that drains their future wealth. But wait, because this next number is the one that truly exposes the financial habits of the average person. A recent study discovered that Americans spend around $1,500 every month on non-essential items. Yes, $1,500. That is $18,000 per year on things they do not actually need. We are talking about eating out, entertainment, random online shopping, subscription services they forgot about, and impulse buys that seemed fun at the moment but were forgotten a week later. Now, I am not saying people should never enjoy their money. Life needs balance. But when someone is carrying heavy debt and still spending $18,000 a year on things that are not necessary, something is clearly wrong, especially when that same person claims they have no idea why they are broke. Now let's talk about savings, because this part is honestly scary. The median emergency savings for Americans is around $600. $600. That means half the population does not even have that much saved. And even more shocking, about 21% of Americans have $0 in emergency savings. Nothing. And nearly 60% cannot cover a sudden $1,000 expense without borrowing money or going deeper into debt. Let's put that into a real scenario. Imagine someone has $600 in savings and suddenly their car breaks down and needs a $1,500 repair. That situation instantly destroys their emergency fund and forces them into more debt. That is exactly why so many people feel like they are always one step away from a money disaster. But the part that causes the most fear is retirement savings. According to recent surveys, Americans believe they need around $1.46 million to retire comfortably. That sounds reasonable, but here is the harsh truth. The average American has only $88,000 saved for retirement. Think about that gap. People believe they need almost $1.5 million, but they barely have $88,000 saved. That is nowhere near enough. Let me break it down even more. If someone retires with $88,000 and follows the traditional 4% withdrawal rule, they can take out only around $3,500 per year. That is less than $300 per month to live on. Could anyone survive on that? Probably not. Now here is something even more concerning. These retirement numbers only include people who actually have retirement accounts. About 25% of Americans have no retirement account at all. That means 1 out of every 4 people is expecting to rely entirely on Social Security. And Social Security pays an average of $1,550 per month. That is around $18,600 per year. Try living on that in today's economy. Now here is where it gets ironic. When people are asked about their financial habits, a massive 92% claim they are trying to improve their money management. That sounds good, right? But in the same survey, 89% say they wish they saved more money. And here comes the unbelievable part. When asked what they would do if they received a surprise $10,000 gift, 40% admitted they would not save any of it, not even a single dollar. Credit scores also tell a strange story. The average FICO score is 715, which is considered good, but millions still have scores in the 500s and 600s and wonder why they cannot get good interest rates. A low credit score can cost tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. The average American is also carrying $9,000 in credit card debt, mostly on things they did not need, and credit cards charge between 15 and 25% interest. If someone owes $9,000 at 20% interest, they are paying $1,800 a year just in interest. That is money being thrown away. Home buying has changed too. The average age of a first-time home buyer is now 36 years old, much higher than previous generations. The average home price is around $350,000, and once you add taxes, utilities, insurance, and maintenance, the true monthly cost doubles. Renting for an extra decade makes people lose years of wealth building. Student loans are another huge burden. The average federal loan borrower owes around $38,000, while private loans average around $55,000. These debts have tripled since 2007. Young adults are starting their careers already deep in debt with low starting incomes. Debt payments overall take up a huge chunk of people's lives. The average American pays around $1,233 per month toward debt. If that same money was invested for 30 years, it could grow to almost $2.7 million, but instead, the money goes to banks. Before we wrap this up, here is one last set of numbers that shows the severity of the situation. Americans in their late 50s have a median of $134,000 saved for retirement. Those in their 60s have around $164,000. If they follow the 4% rule, that gives them around $540 per month to live on. Combine that with Social Security, and they barely reach an income of $25,000 a year. That is barely above the poverty line. So now you have the full picture of the average American's financial reality. If these numbers made you uncomfortable, that might be the wake-up call you needed. You can do better than average. You can change your habits. You can build a safer future. The only question left is this: are you ready to stop making excuses and actually take control of your financial life?